Hello, Algebra 1. This is your homework for the evening. Please take notes on these GPs and be ready to turn them in and discuss tomorrow. So GP number 1 says x minus 3 times x minus 2 equals 0. Please solve for x. Pause the video, try to work it out, and then hit play so the video will continue. So x minus 3 times x minus 2 equals 0 shows two binomials that are being multiplied by each other that equal 0. In order for this to be a true statement, one or both of these binomials must equal 0. Something times something equals 0. 1 has to be 0. So our procedure is to take each of those binomials and set them equal to 0. So I have x minus 3 equals 0, and using the addition property of equality, add 3 to both sides. You get an x by itself and a 3 by itself on the other side, so x equals 3. For the second, we see that x must be positive 2. So if x is 3, you do get a product of 0. If x is 2, you do get a product of 0 again. Hit pause if you need to finish copying down that solution, otherwise the video will play on. This is your second guided practice problem, so please copy down this problem. It says y squared minus 14y plus 49 equals 0. Take a moment please to pause the video, try to factor that trinomial, and then set it equal to 0 so you'll find out what the solutions are. So in order to factor this trinomial, I see again, just like the previous example, that a is equal to 1, and we have a c value, which is pq, of 49. There's a bunch of ways to get to 49, such as 1 times 49 and 7 times 7. Now I see, according to this trinomial, I have a minus plus situation. So my binomial pair is going to be a minus minus. That's the only way to get a c term, this one, with a positive value. You can have a positive times a positive, or a negative times a negative to get that positive 49. So in this case, I know it's negative because this b term is negative. So I know I have a y, and I know I have another y on my other binomial. If I try to put 1 and 49, I'll have a really big difference that won't be negative 14. So I can try that smaller set, 7 and 7. At this point, we go ahead and OI it. That's the OI of FOIL. When we OI it, we get y times negative 7 and negative 7 times y, which gives us our negative 14y. So this is the correct factoring. We're not quite done yet. We now need to take each of those binomials and set them equal to 0. So y minus 7 is 0. The only y that will make that a true statement is if y was positive 7. And we do the same to the other, and we notice it's the exact same problem. So there's actually only one solution here, and the solution is y equals 7. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to continue copying that, otherwise the video will play on. Let's go ahead and move on to GP number 3 for your homework this evening. For GP number 3, we're going to go ahead and do an example where a is not equal to 1. So go ahead and take a moment, please. Try to factor out 2p to the second minus p minus 1 and set both of your binomials equal to 0. Go ahead and pause the video now to work on that problem, otherwise the video will play on. So I know I definitely need p's to start off each of my binomials. This is a minus situation. The only way to get a minus is if you have a plus minus for your binomials, as we discussed in class. Our PQ value, very small. It happens to be -1, and there's only one way to get -1, and that's to have a -1 and a +1. Our MN is equal to 2, which means our factors are going to be 1 and 2. There's two different scenarios here. It's p plus 1 or 2p plus 1. Those give us our two different binomial trials. We said in class we need to try to OI it to try to find out which binomial times binomial will give us that b term we're looking for. And highlighted right here, our b term is going to be a -1. So looking at our first trial, I have 1 times -1, that's -1p. And +1 times 2, that's +2p. You add those together and you get a positive p. Just one. And we actually want that negative p, again, looking at that b term right here. So let's try our second trial. When we OI it, we get -2p and +1p. Add those together, there's your -p. So this second one is the one we want to set equal to 0. Take each of those, split your equation up, set each one equal to 0, and then solve for your unknown. So 2p plus 1 equals 0. 2p is equal to -1. We end up with a fractional answer here where p is equal to -1/2. On this other side, we have p minus 1 equals 0, so p must be 1. So those are our two solutions for GP number 3. Pause the video if you need to continue copying that down. Otherwise, the video will play on to your last GP of the night, and that's GP number 4. GP number 4 says I have 2a squared plus 7a is equal to 4. Please take a moment to solve this problem, and then I'll go over it with you here in just a moment. So hit the pause button, work on it, and then hit play. What's different about this problem is that it does not already equal 0. In order to make it equal to 0, you do need to move that +4 from one side of your equal sign to the other by subtracting it. When I rewrite the problem, I have 2a squared plus 7a minus 4, and that's all equal to 0. You need to think about your MN and your PQ here. MN is 2, so 1 times 2. PQ is 4, so that's 1 times 4, or 2 times 2. Take a look at your B term, and your B term is a positive 7, and you have a plus-minus trinomial. Just like our previous example, the only way to get a -c is if your binomials are plus-minus. I know that 7 is much larger than 2's. 4's are closer to 7, and I might want to try using that first for our first trial. So let's try a 1, 4 for PQ, and then let's try a 1, 2 for my A's. So we OI that. That gives us -4a. Inside terms, positive 2a. We combine those and we get a negative 2a. And that's not what we want. It's not big enough and it's the wrong sign. So we need to try a different trial. And for our second one, let's just swap our 1 and our 2. Keep our 1 and 4 in the same place. Well, when we OI that, we get -8a, that's our outside terms, and we get positive 1a, that's our inside terms, we get the right coefficient, which has a 7, but it's the wrong integer. It's negative 7, not positive 7. So we need to pull another switch here. To make some space, I'm going to go ahead and erase our work. And I'm going to continue with our next trial. We know we're on the right track. It's just our sign is wrong. So let's proceed with that 2a, but instead of plus 1, let's do minus 1. And instead of minus 4, let's do plus 4. So all we're doing is we're changing the signs around for this third trial. Again, we try to OI it. We get positive 8a, negative 1a, and there's our positive 7. So this is the right binomial times binomial factors of that trinomial. Take each of those, set it equal to 0. 2a minus 1 is 0. 2a is equal to 1. So a is equal to 1/2. Our second one, a plus 4, is equal to 0. Subtract 4 from both sides of your equal sign, and you get an a equal to negative 4. So that's it. That's your GPs tonight for homework. Thanks for copying that down. Hit pause if you need to finish copying that one down. I'll see you guys tomorrow.